the Florida Writer Podcast, a discussion about writing and other things.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Florida Writer Podcast. I'm your host, Allison Nissen, and today I am lucky enough to have with me the diva of grammar, Arlene Miller. Arlene, why don't you give us a 60-second elevator pitch about who you are and what you write?
Okay, thank you for having me on, Allison. I am the self-named grammar diva from Boston and then California and now Florida for the past year. I've written about a dozen grammar books, a novel, and I'm working on a memoir, but grammar is my first love, and they are they're intended to solve the common problems of grammar, and I try to make them easy to use.
Why grammar?
Why grammar? Well, I was born that way. It's kind of been a whole lifetime of preparing for this. I've been writing, poetry since I was a little kid. And then I wrote song lyrics, and my ambition actually was to be a songwriter. Then I got really involved in music, and I said, well, maybe a songwriter, maybe that's not going to earn me, maybe that's really just too challenging. So maybe I decided I wanted to write for a music magazine. I wanted to write for Billboard magazine. So that's why I majored in journalism. And I'd always been good at grammar. I went through Latin 4 in high school. So I couldn't learn French because it wasn't grammar based. It wasn't taught grammar based, but I really could do Latin because it was grammar based. I just had some kind of affinity for it, which I think is probably related. I also tap dance, and I think they probably have something in common with some kind of rules or rhythm. So I majored in journalism, and I eventually ended up as a technical writer, although I'm not terribly technical. And then I didn't want to become more technical, so I switched to editing. And then I had kids, and then I kind of did a lot of copy editing. And then I late in life got a teaching credential to teach English. And when I started to teach, I saw that my students and everybody made the same mistakes, the same that I edited when I worked in the computer company. So I decided one day, I remember I announced it to someone at the gym who was a novelist, and she worked at the front desk. And I said, I'm going to write a book on the most common problems people have with grammar and punctuation. So I outlined it. I was teaching at the time, and I think the outline sat for a while. And then I ran home from school every day, and I wrote this book, which was going to be the only one that I ever wrote, because why would you write more than one grammar book? Now I have about 12. It turned into a business.
I'm laughing because it is such a funny, interesting journey. You started off with I'm going to be a songwriter, and you end up writing grammar books because you're good at tap dancing and Latin. Okay, I'm just I
have a keyboard in my office now. Not a music keyboard. So I'm still into the music thing too.
I think this is so much fun. All right, so I admit I was not very good at French, but I didn't consider it because it was a grammar problem. Maybe that was my whole issue with French was not grammar based. But anyway, that's just so funny. So I think it's great that you've written grammar books. How have they been received? I mean, you were a high school teacher at the time. Did you take these books and give them to your students?
Oh, I was a junior high teacher. That's really sad. 7th grade. That's a tough one. I did not like teaching. I like teaching adults. I've taught some adults at continuing ed, and I really like that. I did not like teaching 7th grade. I did last for 11 years, the last 4 of which I did 60% because I was already writing my books. I learned, even though I had spent a lifetime writing and copy editing, I learned everything I know about grammar from that 7th grade grammar textbook. I have to say, that's when I really, really learned it, because I had to teach it over and over again.
Oh my goodness. So did you self-publish these books, or did you find a publisher?
Yes. At first, I knew nothing about much of anything. So I started looking for a publisher, and there were just so many publishers. It's how do I find one in this book of publishers? And then I thought, well, even if I find a publisher, I'll have to wait years for my book to get out. So I decided to self-publish. And I knew nothing about it. And at the time, there was a Yahoo self-publishing group that really taught me a lot, sent me the right place, said, don't go to one of these self-publishing companies that takes your money to give you the gold package or the emerald package, and you won't see anything. And I learned how to pretty much do it myself. And I found people to work with, cover designer and interior book designer, and read the Bibles on self-publishing, and I've done pretty well, I have to say. Grammar is a much easier sell than if you're a novelist and you're self-published, I would think, because people go to Amazon if they want a grammar book, they look up grammar and they don't care who wrote it. If you're writing a novel, people care about the author. So I've sold probably more books, not a millionaire, it's not that many, but I've probably, because most people who publish either independently or with a publishing company, most books don't sell that many. So I've probably done better than, I don't know, 95% of books sold. I mean, I do okay. People like them. People seem to like them.
Well, they have catchy titles, I have to admit, to comma or not to comma. I mean, the best little grammar collection ever. I like this one. Does your flamingo flamenco? The best little book of confusing words and malapropisms. I mean, really, you probably had as much fun coming up with the titles as you did.
I do like coming up with the titles, but I have the brand, the best little, a number of them are the best grammar book, the best grammar workbook, the best little grammar workbook. And then each one of them, most of them, some of them have different covers. There's a different bright colored cover. There's the yellow book and the orange book. But I've got the 50 Shades of Grammar and the flamenco book. So I do like coming up with the titles.
Do you have a pet peeve?
A grammar pet peeve?
A grammar pet peeve.
Lots of them.
How about your top three?
I and me. Difference between I and me. Less and fewer. And apostrophes in the wrong places, like in plurals. Yeah.
Yes. And then with people's names, it drives me crazy when you get the Christmas card. Joneses, and they have an apostrophe there.
Somewhere they put in an apostrophe. Yes.
No.
And the I and me, not so much the me and him went, everybody does that, but when they use I and it should be me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he gave it to Jim and I, because it's so overcorrected that you're supposed to say I, that people say I when it's supposed to be me. That one. And less and fewer is just on the news and on TV all the time. The wrong one. Less people instead of fewer people. So
right.
Those are big ones.
Right. So what are you planning to do next?
I'm working on a dating memoir that I wrote for Nanowrimo in 2018. And I'm embarrassed to say I finished it in a month, and it was, because I'd never written a memoir, it was so bad and required so much work that I just last week started to do the rewrite. Because not that I think it's going to be a big seller, because it's not a grammar book, but I just need to get it out. And then I want to write a business writing book. I've been planning that for a while. And then maybe a punctuation workbook. And then I'd really like to write some fiction again, but I'm not really sure what kind of a storyteller I am. I don't know. I want to write romance or something.
Well, you have a dating memoir.
I've got that one novel that I also did during NaNoWriMo in 2011. And I don't think it's that bad, but I really haven't pushed it, so it hasn't sold.
Are you participating in NaNoWriMo this year?
I am not, because I have enough to do. I was finishing up my NaNoWriMo of 2018. So,
well, what did you like about the NaNoWriMo? You've obviously completed it twice.
Yes. That's why I like it, because it gives you a goal. It makes you work. Because right now, I don't know, I moved to Florida over a year ago, and I still am completely unmotivated to do any work. It's like, oh, I'm settling. Oh, there's a pandemic. There's just all kinds of things. and I can't seem to get anything done. I do my weekly blog post consistently, never miss. But other than that, it's been difficult.
Are your blog posts about grammar?
They are mostly about grammar. Sometimes they're about word trivia or something funny or quotes or holidays, but mostly something to do with words. Yes.
Do you discover pieces of bad grammar and that's what fuels your blog?
A lot of things fuel my blog, but since I've been going at it since January 2013, it's really hard to keep thinking of ideas. I got to tell you, it's difficult. Sometimes I pull things from my books. Right now I'm pulling things from my flamenco book. I'm doing a series on confused words because people, I've done a few on me and I, and people don't seem to care if I repeat topics. For one thing, they probably don't read, they don't read them all. So, it's tough to sometimes think of something, but I try.
If you could create a coffee mug that had the perfect expression on it, I mean, I've seen those grammar mugs all the time.
Yes, I have some of them because I collect mugs. I had about 250 mugs from all over the world. And when I moved, I said, I am not taking 5 boxes of mugs cross country. So I actually gave some away and got it down to like 2 or 3 boxes. So boy, I don't know. The grammar mugs, I don't know. My favorite are my Starbucks mugs from Asia that my daughter brought me.
Oh, those are nice. Those
are
nice.
My favorite ones. Yeah.
Well, that's very good.
And I have a Grammar Diva mug, so I'll do that.
So if you were going to just whip together a workshop, would it be a grammar-based workshop?
I have done in-person workshops, and I would love to do what actually I forgot to say. I'm trying to develop an online grammar course, but the technical stuff just scares me. I'm just not that technically astute. And I've thought about doing just a grammar Q&A webinar. I would probably do, and I've done in-person ones, as I said. I generally cover the common issues, and a lot of times I do it by presenting a quiz with the most common problems, and then we kind of go over it and talk about it. And that seems to work well because it's interactive.
Well, as the webinar chair for FWA, I might hit you up on having a webinar.
Please do. Yeah, I've talked before writing groups and in person, and some civic groups and a couple of other bookstores, and generally I'll hand out a quiz and tell people, don't worry, I'm not going to correct it, and we go through it.
Well, Arlene, how could people get in touch with you?
Well, my website is www.thegrammardiva.com, and my blog is on there. There's one of the tabs, and also the subscription to the blog. And I am on Facebook as the Grammar Diva, and I'm on Twitter as the Grammar Diva, and I'm on LinkedIn as the Grammar Diva. So you can find me there or on Amazon.
Well, all right, Arlene, are you ready to switch to our rapid fire questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. If you were going to have a perfect workout song, what would it be?
Oh, I can't think of what it is. It would be something with a heavy beat, like Don't Touch This, but that's not what it is. But something, I like things with a, maybe even a march. I really like things with a really strong beat and a melody.
Oh, that sounds fun. That sounds fun. Do you have any phobias?
Yes, stinging insects, bees, hornets. Yes, terrified, absolutely terrified. I will run a mile. Always have been, and never been stung.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It makes me more and more afraid. Yeah.
Do you believe in horoscopes?
Yes, somewhat. I find that my sign describes me. So I think, yes. I had my chart done once and it didn't bode well for my love life. So I guess that was right also. And I'm a Virgo, so I'm a perfect grammar picky person. Yeah.
It was written by the stars.
Yep.
Arlene Miller, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you. It was fun, especially those questions. That's the one that I couldn't think of an answer for.
I try. I like the march though. That's a good one. I
love march music. It's so nerdy.
I love a drum line. Get a good drum line.
Yeah. And my son played drums in the high school, junior high and high school band a long time ago. So I just really always liked march music. Good to tap dance to.
All right. Well, Arlene Miller, once again, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
You all have been listening to another edition of the Florida Writer Podcast with your host, Allison Nissen. Allison out. Boom. We're all done.
That was fun.
Yeah. It's easy. It's fun. It's light. It's I love talking about writing. But I could never, someone asked me to diagram a sentence, I'd be like. Arlene Miller, also known as the Grammar Diva, is an author, grammarian, speaker, blogger, teacher, and editor. She loves to talk about grammar and the English language in her entertaining presentations, workshops, classes, and weekly blog posts. She has written 10 grammar books, a self-publishing book, and a novel. For more information about Arlene, visit her at her website, bigwords101.com. For more information about the Florida Writers Association, visit us on the web at floridawriters.org.